It's the weekly show about rAVe with the hottest news in the AV industry. It's rAVe TV. Give it up for Steph and Gary. Steph and Gary.
Whoa, that was quick.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern. We're back for another episode of rAVe TV. And guess what, everyone? Gary's back this week.
I am.
Welcome back, Gary.
I am amazingly happy to be back, as you can imagine.
Yeah, I'm happy to have you back. I've missed you.
Well, thank you very much. You did a phenomenal job. I watched every episode and all the interviews, and everything went. You don't even need me, Steph.
Oh my
You
God,
don't even need
no,
to be here anymore.
that's not. But I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, no. As probably everyone knows by now, because I wrote a blog about it, which we published on Friday. Yeah, I had a very interesting medical issue. I was running a race at Disney World and was getting a lot of heartburn. So I didn't really kind of think much of it. Went and visited my doctor, and one thing led to another. Thought I just had heartburn, but ended up having triple bypass surgery. So, I feel very old, because most people when you're younger, when they say they've had triple bypass, they're old. And so I definitely feel old all of a sudden. And, but I was the youngest person that they've done that surgery for at UNC in like 2.5 years. Luckily I'm in good shape, so I'm recovering quickly, but obviously to get to InfoComm, I have to do a lot of rehab. Still only have about 60% of my, maybe 65% of my oxygen. I actually find out today, Steph. They're going to measure my lungs. They're going to do an EKG. They're also going to do an X-ray of my lungs and also see how everything's coming along, and then with my rehab and stuff. But I'm up to walking 10 miles a day. So
yeah, and also you're not even 2 weeks out of that surgery, and you're already doing that.
Excuse me. Almost 3 weeks. I had it on the 8th. Yeah.
That's you should be very proud of yourself, Gary. Like, you are not in bad shape. Like, I still think you're going to outlive me.
Yeah. So I'm adopted, for those people that don't know, and I know nothing about my family history. Nothing. Like, when I was adopted, they didn't give you any paperwork or anything. So I know nothing. I eat well. I exercise 5 to 6 days a week. I race, running and triathlon races and stay in good shape. So it was all, like the doctor said, it was going to happen no matter what. It was hereditary. Mm-hmm. The thing that was really odd, though, was when they did end up doing the surgery, my blockage was like 98% in 2 arteries and like 90% in the third. So it was like, he looked at me and goes, "You may have had 2 weeks," which is kind of crazy, because I was like doing normal stuff, just slower. I was like, instead of say an 8.5 minute running pace, I was doing like a 10-minute running pace. So it was a shock. Like, I was completely in shock. So the whole message from me to all of you out there is, you don't have to be old to have problems like this. And you should question when your body's telling you something, because I did have clues. Like, my running time was slowing down in 2025, and I just chalked it up to being older. And I did have heartburn, and I did have, kind of like weird symptoms when I'd randomly go up stairs, and I'd feel a little bit more tired than I should. And it kind of crossed my mind, but then I'd go up another flight of stairs and I wouldn't feel tired. And there's reasons for that. Like, the doctor explained to me what happens. Like, there's a lot of intricate, detailed reasons. Your body's really smart, and it creates new pathways in your heart when you have problems. And so a lot of times it sort of recovers itself temporarily, but eventually, you have to kind of get checked out. So I would highly recommend to all men and women out there, if you're questioning anything, to start with not just a stress test, start with a nuclear medicine stress test. That was the difference. That was the difference maker. My doctor originally signed me up for a stress test, and then he changed his mind and did what's known as a nuclear medicine stress test, where you stress the body, you run 12 minutes on a treadmill at a really high incline, and then you immediately eat a really, really fatty food, breakfast, and then they put you in a CT scanner right away, and they watch the blood flow in and out because that's when the body's most stressed. You've exercised and you eat. The worst thing you can possibly do, by the way, for those of us that are athletes, which I did not know, is eat right after exercise. You have to wait 30 minutes because it stresses your body, because you're filling it up, it's stuffing and it's really stuffing against your heart. So that's the most stress you can do is exercise and then shove food in your mouth, which is what they did. And then they put me in the CT scan and looked at the blood flow by shooting dye through my body. It was a heck of a learning experience. I wish I didn't have to go through it, but I learned a lot. And hopefully, what's cool about it, Steph, and won't talk about it again. And I wanted to talk about before InfoComm because I didn't want that to be the central discussion
Right.
with me and everyone at InfoComm. I want to just see my friends at InfoComm.
Right.
But what's cool about it is I've had 4 or 5, maybe more than that, people in the industry say I have signed up for a nuclear medicine stress test
Oh,
because I'm
really?
having similar symptoms similar to yours. So I feel really good about that, and that's the whole reason why I wrote the article because we don't like to talk about our health. We kind of like to
No.
hide things and not let other people know that
Mhm.
there's issues. And I think I've been very transparent about everything and all that we write, and that's sort of our mantra at rAVe. So I felt important to do that here. So obviously I don't have my voice back, but when they put a tube down your throat, it takes a
Oh,
little while to recover your vocal cord.
yeah. That seems like the worst part of it all to me. I mean, I know there's like no good part of that, but like the tube down your throat, I think would be the thing that would freak me out the
Steph, I
most.
will tell you the most touching part of all of it was waking up. I had the tube down my throat, and there's this nurse that was so nice to me
That's really sweet.
and talked me through not freaking out.
That's good. Look, the UNC team, they're the best probably. So I'm glad that you went there. And I'm glad
Yeah,
that you had somebody to like talk you through it when you woke up, because otherwise I'm sure that would have been very jarring.
trust me, it was very jarring because your hands are tied down
Hmm.
because they don't want you to pull anything
Yeah.
out, and you wake up and you're in an enormous amount of pain and you can't talk, and there's a tube down your throat, and she's walking me through everything. So
Well, hey, I'm glad you're okay. I think you'll be back running circles around all of us very soon.
it's going to take a while, but I'm going to get there. I'll see everyone
Absolutely.
at InfoComm for sure.
Absolutely.
Speaking
Well,
of InfoComm, though,
yes,
right?
yes.
That's a good segue,
How do we
wasn't
transition from this?
it? Didn't mean to start the show in a downer, but yeah, speaking of InfoComm, one last
Yeah.
chance to sign up.
Yep. If you haven't signed up, like at this point, are you just lazy or you just weren't sure if you're gonna come? But if you haven't, you can use code RAVE. It'll get you onto the show floor for free. And then all you got to do is figure out your flight and where you're staying. Also through InfoComm, we are giving away Best of InfoComm awards. But here's the kicker, it's different this year. We want you to apply so that we have a list that's curated by you so that Gary and I can go through and then pick the Best of InfoComm awards.
And we should
Um,
say that we are not charging anything to
no.
enter. I think we're the only awards program that doesn't charge. So apply if you think you have a good product, and the
Mhm.
product can be introduced anytime between January 1st of this year
Yep.
through InfoComm. So
Yep.
any new product since the beginning of this year qualifies,
Mhm.
and you should definitely, if you think you have a product that is going to have an impact on our industry that you
Mhm.
think is cool, and we have, I don't know, Steph, you probably know, but like at least 40 or 50 categories, right?
Yes. Well, yes, we have a bunch of categories, but we're kind of just asking them not to worry about those and just submit whatever products. So we have the Best of InfoComm awards, and those are for like integrator focused.
Yeah.
And then we have the Avona 2030 top 10, which are very end user focused awards. So whether your product is made for the integrator or really for that like ease of use, ease of the day to day for the end user, like we have an awards program that we would like you. And yes, the Best of InfoComm awards has like categories that we'll try to match products up with. The Avona 2030 does not. We just pick a top 10 generally. So that's a little bit of an explanation about that. And then our other awards program, Reader's Choice. These are nominated and voted upon by all of you. One vote per person, though. So please go in and vote in all of the categories that you want. You don't have to vote in every single category, though, if you don't want to. Sometimes you just, there's a section you're like, I don't really care about this. That's fine. Vote where you would like to. Don't vote where you don't want to. That closes on June 1st. So go ahead and get those in. You got a few more days.
Yeah, and those nominations were happened in April. So you nominated these products. We didn't seed the products. You nominate them, and then you're voting on them. So we'll give those awards out at InfoComm on the first day. So each of the manufacturers will have a chance to to sort of brag about winning that award. That's a pretty cool award because it comes exclusively from our readers, and so many people participate in it. So it's a really cool thing.
It is.
So,
It is a very cool thing. Well, we have a very fun guest coming up, but before that, we have a brand new product from Shure. Well, kind of like a brand new set, brand new system. So check this out. Well, okay, we have our special guest. Welcome, Peter Herr from Shure. How's it going?
Good. How are you guys?
Doing well. I love this tradition that we have where we bring you
Right.
on right before InfoComm and you're like, okay, Shure has 11,000 new products. Let's talk about them.
Well, thankfully it's not 11,000, but yeah, it's worked well. We've liked this formula of kind of being able to talk about things, announce things a few weeks before the show.
Yep.
Gives us some runway, obviously, ahead of making sure that people know what's truly new and what they need to come to the booth and check out. And it just so happens that all these have usually happened on Wednesday, which coincides with rAVe TV. So
Perfect.
it's all synergistic and perfect and lovely.
well, it works out really well. You, as everyone will find out when they come to the show, you're celebrating your 100th birthday, founding of the company. One of the cool things that you did at ISE that I thought was really interesting was you showed ads from all the way back to like the maybe 1930s, which I thought was really cool. And I know this is but I teach advertising, so I'm into this. But I loved looking at the sort of history of fonts through those ads. That was the coolest part, is you could pick out the decade by just looking at the font. So I'm looking forward to what you're going to do for your 100th. You're one of the big sponsors of the InfoComm show, but I want to start with the Intellimix Foundation system, which we just showed that video on. Tell us what's the big deal about it. Explain what differentiates it.
Sure. Yeah. We're super excited about this foundation system. If anyone saw at ISE, which I think most did, we launched the Intellimix room kits at the show. 4 different flavors of a all-in-one kind of system that basically for different room sizes that scales from like a small type of meeting room all the way to a large flex space. All using this, the foundation system, which consists of the compute and the touch panel, are a part of those room kits. And we got a lot of inquiries, especially from our integrator community, around, hey, I would love the flexibility of these, this touch panel and this PC, this Windows PC that has our Intellimix Room software on it, to configure my own systems. So that's basically what this foundation system allows our channel partners to do, is to take that touch panel and the compute that is kind of the hub of those room kits, and mix and match, MXA array microphones, Microflex loudspeakers, Microflex wireless, and configure a room how they need to configure it. It doesn't need to necessarily be what's in the kit. It can be, streamlined for any application, essentially.
Before Steph asks the second question, I got a quick question about that.
Yeah.
Do you do it in the room that you're doing the install in, or do you pre-configure it before going out there?
You can do it either way, honestly. I mean, basically everything needs the main difference to keep in mind with the foundation system is that obviously what you get in that system is the touch panel and the compute, which has the DSP built into it. You will need to use our designer software to make all those audio routes and those connections actually happen.
That makes sense.
In the room kits, it's all automatic. You
Yeah.
open it up, you plug it in, you plug everything into each other, and it finds each other and auto configures. With the foundation system, it's a little bit different. Obviously, the foundation system doesn't know what you're plugging into the PC. You need to make sure that you make all those audio routes with our designer software. So, but once that's done, it's good to go.
Absolutely. So, could you talk a little bit about what the ideal use case or application type is? Is it classrooms, huddle rooms, boardrooms, all of the above,
It's
and
kind of
extra?
everything. Yeah, honestly, if you go to our website, which obviously the system is live today on Shure.com, you can see on the actual product page has a couple of different room diagrams that include the very things that you just mentioned, Steph. So
Okay.
small room, boardroom, classroom, flex space, the ability to kind of, like I said before, mix and match what components you're connecting to this foundation system, allow you to kind of tackle a lot of different rooms. And I think it's the flexibility is kind of unprecedented.
Yeah.
And what's great about it is pretty much everything that you connect in our Microflex ecosystem to this foundation system is team certified and ready to go. So you're not necessarily needing to mix, that it'll work because everything is Shure, right?
Right.
So is when you were researching this product, this concept, were the integrators saying we want a compute device, we want a Windows ready, Teams ready product already in the system? Because it seems like a lot of it, especially on the IT side, a lot of integrators already sell compute devices.
Yeah.
Was it just easier to just bundle it together? And could they do their own if they were buying it in bulk?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what the foundation system kind of allows. I mean, a lot of questions came out when we launched the room kits back earlier this year. Was a lot of the questions from some of our integrator partners. First off, was like, hey, how do we get can I configure my own system? And the thought process was, well, you can, but it's not going to have the auto setup feature that the IntelliMix room kits have exactly, right? So that flexibility of being able to mix and match what you actually connect to the system to tackle any type of room is exactly what the system is designed for.
Is it meant to simplify system design, which is like kind of what you said, or does it kind of lean more toward being about being flexible and being able to customize how you want it?
I mean, in a way, I think it's maybe kind of both, because I think you're able to tackle like really strange places or maybe challenging spaces using a variety of products. But the whole configuration of it is all done with our designer software, which is pretty intuitive and pretty easy to infer. And also, like, literally you connect everything, hit the audio configure button, and usually most of your audio routes and those types of things are done for you initially. If you might need to make some minor tweaks to fine tune and kind of dial the room in depending on the complexity of the space. But yeah, I mean, your system kind of out of the box, and once it's connected, is you're 80% of the way there. With just making those initial connections.
Well, congratulations on this. I think this is going to be very popular. I mean, obviously, you have a bunch of other stuff that you introduced at ISE that hasn't been shown yet.
Right, exactly.
That people need to come by and see. And you've got new speakers. You went from having like one line of speakers basically to for meeting spaces to having 5 different configurations, and you have a whole bunch of other stuff that you introduced, including the kits that we just talked about. So people should go by your booth. And you also, what's really cool about what you did at ISE that you're going to do at InfoComm is you sort of have a museum of the history of Shure. And so I think that is really neat to see a company that's been around. There's only a few of you. There's only, 3 that I know of in the industry that have been around 100 years. That's pretty cool to see, sort of like to think that you're one of the drivers of the industry, like really one of the bellwethers of the industry.
Yeah.
And congratulations on that. Happy birthday. And
Thanks.
As one of the, overall, you are the platinum sponsor, I think it is, for the whole show. Is there other things that we should be watching for that you're involved with at the show? I know you have your event that you have at night. You have a lot of educational sessions.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the headline sponsorship was something that we thought was a perfect fit for the 100th anniversary year, right? So we're super excited about that, and happy to be partnering with the InfoComm team on that one. That activation, or the history that you mentioned, that actual museum, that's going to be a separate activation that's outside the Shure booth. It's actually in the hallway right to the left of the main entrance of the convention center, which is super cool. We're super excited of kind of showing kind of the history, and we've done it a couple times at other shows, and people just love kind of taking all that in. It kind of actually includes some of that stuff that you mentioned before, Gary, about the different ads with the different fonts and all those types of things. I worked on some of those campaigns back in the day. I've been at Shure for, it'll be 28 years in October. So I've been, maybe for a little bit more than a quarter of the history I've been a part of, and seen a lot of those campaigns come to life. So it's been really super cool. We have some great education sessions. We've got a really cool one, a manufacturer's training actually that we're partnering with Microsoft on. So Dave Mendez from our side is doing a training session with some folks from Microsoft, and we're going to be talking about the foundation system and its flexibility and its ability to kind of set up your teams rooms in less time. So we're super excited.
And don't forget, you can go to infocommshow.org and sign up for any of those classes, both the manufacturer based classes and the ones that are sponsored by Avixa. So go to infocommshow.org. And of course, if you haven't registered for the show, you can use our code rAVe and register for free. Peter, thank you very much. In the meantime, you can actually see most of the stuff we've talked about today at shure.com. Actually, stuff was introduced at ISE, but it'll be shown. By the way, is all of it shipping now?
The foundation system will be shipping by the end of the summer. Yeah, everything is basically live and available within the next month or two. So yeah, I mean it is on the way, and you should be able to get your hands on it in a very short amount of time. So thanks so much for having me, Gary. Steph.
Thank you.
Great to see you.
Yeah, thank you, and thanks for sponsoring rAVe TV. We'll see you at the show.
For sure,
we'll be hanging out with you a little bit, Steph. That was a great interview. I appreciate you setting that up. And you took over the Cloud AV Summit, our second Cloud AV Summit, where the Open AV Cloud concept was sort of birthed. In fact, Shure was part of that. In addition, Legrand and Sony, Panasonic, and a few other manufacturers. And even today, that I just saw a press release come through. Where there's more companies adopting. And the idea behind this is to have open APIs so that there's not this complication of trying to get things to work together. So I'm excited about that. How did you feel like it went?
I actually felt like it went really well. I learned a lot. And the people who I had on the panel all had such great but different like opinions on why open APIs were important for our industry. So I just honestly had a great time listening to everyone kind of talk about why this was so important from an integrator's perspective, from a consultant's perspective, from a manufacturer's perspective. So yeah, I enjoyed just being in the room,
Yeah, that it was very good. If you want to go back and watch that, you can actually go see the article on our website. It'll take you. There's a link to it, or you can go to launch.com, lavnch.com, and if you have an account, log in. You can go watch it on demand. Absolutely. By the way, I wrote up an article late last week about Google finally having a brand that they're going to stick with for their 3D holographic conferencing system. It's now going to be called Beam, Google Beam. They're going to have it at InfoComm. So they're actually going to have demos. That will be a line. There'll be a line of people to see that, because that's been talked about for many years. It used to be called Starline, if you may remember that. But now it's called Google Beam, and it looks like holographic, but it's really not. It's 3D imaging using a display. But ultimately, that'll be at InfoComm, and you can actually see that. I think we have a video of that, right?
We do. So we can go ahead and roll that so you guys can check it out. I think. Maybe. It seems they're having a hard time pulling that up. So maybe we'll come back to that.
You want to come back to it?
Yeah.
name is Vasu Subramanian. I'm on the business development team for Google Beam.
Me llamo Carlos y soy un programador aquí en Google. Hola, Vasu.
Hey, Carlos. Welcome to Google Beam. How are you? How do you like this experience?
¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo te gusta esta experiencia?
Se me hace muy raro.
It seems very strange to me to hear you speak Spanish. It's amazing.
This is a live, real-time translation that we're both experiencing at the same time.
Experimentando al mismo tiempo.
Tu español lo hablas muy bien. You speak Spanish very well.
The technology is magic. To actually then interact with him in perfect English and to know that I was being translated in real time was really wonderful.
Si empiezas a hablar con esta persona, te olvidas de que esto es una conversación de videollamada, porque la sensación es que tienes una persona enfrente tuyo. Como el mío, no era acento español, pero lo podía entender perfectamente.
So one of the cool features that's built in, if you saw the imagery there, you could see that they look like they're in the same room talking to each other. The idea behind it isn't that it's holographic or it's 3D. It's that you feel like you're talking to somebody across from you. One of the features that it has, Steph, is simultaneous translation,
Yep.
which is really neat. That's built into it using Google's AI.
That is
so you can have a meeting with anyone in the world if you don't speak the same language. Now, the interesting thing here is that doesn't happen in the real world very often. I think in the future, maybe it's more likely to start happening now that the capability's there. I do think that's more of an educational kind of application, which sort of like breaks down the barriers of communication in education. But I think in the business world, we don't find ourselves in a lot of meetings where somebody doesn't speak one of the languages.
Yeah.
So I don't know how realistic this would be in that kind of an application, but it's really cool that that feature exists. And it is amazing how good it is and how it's nearly real time stuff. So that's going to be part of the cool thing to go see.
Yeah. Gary, do you want to talk about Jabra, this new?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So Jabra has launched Engage AI. They had Engage. Now they have Engage AI, which is a similar what we were just talking about. It allows call center. So if you're running a call center and you want to have people, instead of having people all around the world that speak different languages, you can have everyone in, say, Texas who are speaking only English, but the calls are coming in from all around the world. And it allows you to speak your native language and it converts it into whatever language they speak.
Cool.
That is a great application for simultaneous translation.
Absolutely.
Having a one-on-one, if you plan a meeting with somebody, you probably already know, you know what language barriers are. You probably speaking the same language. But when you have a call center, I think that's pretty cool. And the reason why we put this story on rAVe, because even though we historically don't have a lot of people who manage call centers reading our stuff, is that this is a future opportunity for us, because more and more companies are going to have call centers are going to make a comeback, I guess is the best way to say it. And I think they're going to think about it at the level of telemedicine. Like that is basically a type of call center, right? Where but instead of having just audio, you're doing audio and video. So I think what's going to be the future is a call center that does audio and video, because you're going to feel more comfortable now when you have this translation capability. And I think that needs to be managed by us. Our industry really should take a hold of this and really embrace it.
Absolutely. Well, next up, we have a video from Crestron on its modern work solutions, and we'll be right back.
So here comes Peerless with a universal DV LED mounting system called Seamless Connect. You'll see that at InfoComm. The thing about universal mounting systems, Steph, that I think is really good is it helps people who are intimidated by LED to spec an LED system and know that it's just going to be able to be mounted, because I think that's the big concern is like these things are not roll it in and turn it on. These things are modular, and you're concerned about how am I going to put this in a room and how's it going to work in any different space. And by the way, the room hasn't been built yet, so which mount do I spec? So I like these universal mounting systems, and both Legrand and Peerless now have one. Peerless is called Seamless Connect. Definitely make sure you go by their booth at InfoComm and check it out.
Absolutely. Aver is going to launch a bring your own meeting kit, a new camera, and showcase a whole bunch of stuff at InfoComm. Aver is another one that just has rollouts upon rollouts when
Yeah.
a show comes. So the TR615, this is a professional broadcasting camera. So that's the camera that they're going to come out with. And then, of course, the bring your own meeting kit. They're going to highlight more than like 10 of their other solutions that they've come to be quite known for in broadcast and healthcare and pro AV. So the bring your own meeting kit, it has its controller, the Cam 550 camera, and then it comes with a phone 540 speaker phone. So what's new about this is they've kitted it for you. So it's made to be in this like BYOM environment so that you just bring your computer, plug it up, everything's working perfect, you're running the meeting. And then, of course, the fact that this is like a broadcast camera, like a professional broadcast level. So this is really exciting. I'm excited to see this at the show, as well as all of the other solutions that I've gotten to see, of course, at Enterprise Connect, at ISE, but not everyone else has. So, yeah.
So a couple of years ago, you may remember that Bluetooth came out with a new type of system called Aura, right? Or AuraCast is what they're calling it. It's really designed for assistive listening, but also can be used in places like you're in a bar and there's a bunch of TVs and you want to just watch that one TV, but you want to use your own device to do it. And of course, Listen Technologies, they have a product that's called AuraCast. Opus Technologies is going to go to InfoComm for the first time, and they're going to have Aura by Opus, which is an assistive listening device system specifically using the Bluetooth AuraCast technology. So now you're going to have a couple of options out there, and this is going to become, as our population's aging, this is going to become more and more popular. But also, like I said, in fitness centers, that's another place that you see this, where obviously in houses of worship, this is going to be very popular. Movie theaters where you have older people who have that are hard of hearing. As you age, your hearing goes. This is going to be very popular there. But also in, like I said, fitness centers is a good example. Bars and restaurants is a good example, where you don't want to have this like ambient noise all over the place. So this is going to be something that's going to be kind of sort of mainstream, and you'll be able to see it at InfoComm along with a bunch of new products. We're getting a lot of new stuff on an everyday basis for InfoComm. And by the way, if you want to see all of our InfoComm coverage, go to rapubs.com/InfoComm, and you can actually see everything. I know we must be getting close to 200 stories, Steph, because I've been helping curate those over the last month and a half.
We have to be getting close because we've been posting so many every day. It's been like over 10 a day. So I think we're getting for sure close. So yeah, a lot of rollouts upon this InfoComm, a lot going on. Also, one last thing, our hospitality symposium is today at 1 p.m. Eastern. We're very excited about it. At least I am, because I put it together. So I'm pretty excited. So this is going to be 3 separate panels. One is on outdoor AV, sponsored by Almo Pro AV. One is on bringing immersive experiences to the hospitality environment, and the other is on like lighting in a hospitality environment. So these panels are cool, and you're going to love the panelists and the people who are speaking about this. They're like experts. So it's going to be really great. I hope you'll come. Sign up at launch, lavnch.com.
All right. Well, that's our show for this week. We will see you next Wednesday, which will probably be a show all about InfoComm, because that's the Wednesday before InfoComm. That's what we'll probably focus on. But in the meantime, of course, you can check out all of our coverage, like we said, at rapubs.com/InfoComm, or just go to RavePubs. Steph, I'm excited to be back. I'm excited to be back on our regular schedule. We'll restream this at noon for the rest of the world, rest of the country, I should say. And then we'll be back next Wednesday.
Yeah. Gary, I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad all of you are watching, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
It's the weekly show about Pro AV with the hottest news in the AV industry. It's rAVe TV. Give it up for Steph and Gary.